Hey, how's it going, everybody? Currently, at the time of recording this video, we are at 25,800 and change for the total sub count. And it definitely feels like it was just a little bit ago that we hit the 25,000 mark. And I asked you guys, what should we do for a video? How should we put this together? And some of the suggestions were ones that are videos that I actually are working on already, things that take a little bit longer to do. And then there's stuff like the question and answer one, where you guys obviously, where I just kind of go and read comments and then answer to the best of my ability. And the difficulty with those is I don't want to make milestones, I guess, on the channel the reason when we do Q&As. I want you guys to be as active in this process as possible. So with that said, before I get into anything, as always, massive thank you. 25,000 subs is a milestone I did not think I was going to hit this year, let alone next year or at all. I never had that expectation, and the fact that it's happened in such a quick turnaround time is absolutely appreciative. So thank you very much. But because of that, we're going to be talking a little bit about some other stuff. Looking back, it's not something that I actively think about, but when I do look back and when I kind of check to see these milestones per se, it's crazy to always see the progress if there has been any made. Obviously, being in a new apartment, being in a new studio kind of situation really helps with that. But I wanted to be able to categorize or like create timestamps, I guess, in my life that I can kind of look back and look at the accomplishments that this channel has made together with your help, as well as the help of an editor and new production equipment and people that come in and tune into these videos every single day, which is, again, greatly appreciated. I think it's something that's super cool about this generation is the fact that I can literally catalog and showcase what I was like years ago, weeks ago, whatever it may be. I have the ability to go back and look at how I was when I was 25 as compared to when I'm 30 or whatever it may be. If I have a family someday with kids, I can show my kids like, hey, this is what your dad was like when I'm old and gray. The ability to be like, I'm just as cringe now as I was back then. I have the ability to showcase and kind of store that stuff digitally for generations to come or whatever it may be, which I think is really cool. It's also kind of scary because you can see what I was like when I was younger, which probably isn't a good thing, but I think the concept of that is really cool, and I still want to continue to make those milestones. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is I want to be able to see that difference in growth from how I am now compared to before. I mean, case in point, I went back and looked at my 10K thank you video, and even that, just from the different studio and stuff like that, is such contrast. So I wasn't really sure how to do a 25K video, you know, with all the suggestions and the recommendations. To do Q&A was obviously the most common. I think it's a really good way for me to directly involve you, and I don't think that's ever something I want to change. So because of that, I don't want it to become a special occasion. I want to actively always be answering the questions, answering the things that you, the viewer, have for me as the person who's trying to help and educate and entertain the people that are watching. So with that said, if you do not know, in the description down below, I have a link to my Discord. The Discord is open to the public. You have the ability to go and interact with things. We focus on music and anime and my interests and other stuff. There's open conversation about this esports. It's a little bit more of like a community rather than just like Rocket League news, even though I post a lot of the videos and stuff there. But something that's a little bit new that's being added is I do have a new channel in there called Questions and Video Suggestions. And it is literally for a video from the base of you guys. I talked about how I want to incorporate and entertain and provide feedback to you in the most direct way possible. And I was going to say in the comments down below, which I still, still do. If you guys do have questions, leave them in the comments down below. I will do my best to get back to them. But if there's something that you think makes for really good conversation, something that you want a more thought out opinion on, you can go into the Discord and leave that information there. And I have the ability to catalog it perfectly. I can go through that. And then once I have enough topics to make a full video on it, I can then consolidate that and put it in that digestible content that you guys want to consume. So please join the Discord. It's discord.gg/Lawler. I have a vanity URL as we are a Discord partner. Otherwise, down below, you guys can click on that. It'll invite you. And then in that suggestion or in that video text channel, any questions, any things about like the latest current event of like, yo, what's your thought on the BDS Reddit situation? And if I'm like, you know what, that's a really good topic, I can turn that into a decent video and really bring that out, let's do so. Or if there's a couple other questions that I think they're easier answered, a little bit quicker to answer, I can compile a couple of those together and then put out a video. I don't want this to be a thing that happens once in a blue moon. I want it to be a regular video that I put out for you all because I think it's important. I think that interaction is a really big deal. And what better way to provide the content than you guys want by letting you guys to suggest things, and then I curate it and kind of take my piece on how I want to approach it. So again, your feedback is always going to be appreciated. It is what allows this channel to grow. So again, please join the Discord. Please continue to help this channel grow, as many of you have already done so before. With that said, in my 10K thank you video, as I mentioned, which can also be found in the description, I discussed, as requested, how I became a commentator, what allowed me to get into esports, what was my path. But that was 4 or 5 years ago. That was a while ago. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about, now that I've been in esports for 4 or 5 years, what have I done and how has it led to this moment? Whew, so this is a lot to try to recap 4 or 5 years of my life. I officially got my start in Rocket League esports in April of 2016. The easiest thing to explain was the fact that once I got in, I recognized very quickly that this industry is not only very demanding, but it is one that is very cutthroat. There is no guarantee in this business. You are technically freelance, and you are trying to rely on a developer or a company, and that is very scary because there is a chance that they just don't like you or things don't pan out. For all we know, Rocket League was going to die that weekend when a bunch of people who had no professional experience commentating were going to hop into a studio worth millions of dollars and broadcast Rocket League to the world. And I'll admit it, Season 1, casting was pretty dog shit. Season 2, also pretty bad. Season 3 got a little bit better, still pretty bad. And then Season 4 finally felt okay. I personally will not go back and watch with commentary my own cast from Season 1, 2, and 3. I won't do it. I'm not proud of it. But again, like I talked about in the intro, the milestones being set, being able to go back and look and catalog and see the growth that I've made personally as not only a broadcast talent, but as a person and everything else is a very rewarding feeling. There's a lot of things that have changed about not only the game and the scene and the demographic, my position where I am and everything else. I've been blessed to be able to cast 4 years of a premier esport with a top tier production team, very talented co-commentators, hosts, and it's kind of been a crazy ride for that regard. I've been able to work with legends alongside Richard Lewis, Golden Boy, Machine, people in the industry that are at the echelon, at the absolute peak of what they do in their jobs. Kelly Link and others, like the list goes on and on and on. So I started as a commentator. We flew out to Burbank, California for every weekend for the RLCS out of a studio called NGE, or Next Generation Esports. It was a small facility with 2 studios and an office room, and it's come a long way. They now have like 4 buildings, a bunch of different offices, ton of employees. They work on like 10 different esports at any given time. They are the ones that handle everything behind Twitch Rivals. Like, it is insane what that business has become since I've been there. I've been blessed to branch out into other games. I've done Apex Legends, I've done PUBG, I've done Fortnite, I've done Valorant for Team Liquid, for a bunch of big names. I've been blessed to be on live television. Fun story, my grandparents basically thought I sold drugs because they said, I come from a very small town. I come from the Midwest, blue collar, factory work. So for me to be like, yep, I talk about video games for a bunch of people on the internet, and they go, there's no way you make as much money as you do. There's no way you're sustaining yourself. You must be selling drugs or peddling drugs on the streets. Until I got the chance, and shout outs to the team there, my favorite production, my favorite crew at E-League in Atlanta. Turner Sports absolutely crushes it every time we get to work for them. And being on national television on a Friday night, prime time at 10 p.m., and being able to go to my family's for the first time in years, because I always worked a retail job, and being there for like Christmas and being like, hey, aunt, whatever, turn on the TV, or grandpa this, turn on the TV. That's me. That's me living my dream. That's me doing what I've been working so hard to get to. Even if I didn't know that was going to be the end result, that is me living out my dream. And the fact that I know I'm just getting started was really rewarding. And having that confirmation of family members being like, okay, you know, it is legitimate. I do respect it. And even though I've never looked for somebody else for legitimacy, having people that have known me my entire life finally being like, okay, I get it. Or going to my sister's wedding and having my cousin's significant other come up to me and ask for a photo or picture, because that's branching the gap between IRL, real life, your Adam, and persona, online alias, your Lawler. It was a very surreal feeling. It was the first time I've ever experienced it, and it really changed the outlook of how big of a reach we have. And the only other time I've really had that kind of feeling of looking back, the thing I talked about in my intro, was when I was let go of the RLCS. For many that don't know, I was an RLCS commentator for 4 years. At the beginning of 2020, I was told that I wasn't going to be brought back. They didn't want to rehire me. And after announcing it, putting out the tweet that I did, the overwhelming response, the support from people that I respect in the industry, as well as you guys, people that follow me on social media and stuff, you didn't really notice the reach that you had after doing something for so long. If you guys haven't seen my thank you video or my farewell video, I forewarn you, it's a tearjerker. It was a very tough thing to talk about, but you don't really recognize the stuff that you've done and accomplished over the years. So it's crazy to look back. It's part of the reason why I want to make these milestone videos, I guess, so I can go look back and keep myself humbled to see where I come from, the fact that I'm still working and you're always kind of perfecting your craft. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say in this video. I didn't really have an idea. I wasn't going to go into the specific details of what it is, but it's me just encouraging you, as I've done in other videos. If you are passionate about something, if you are trying to do something that you want to turn into a career, whatever it is, you have to put yourself in that opportunity. And when that opportunity presents itself, you have to take it. I quit my job that I was at for 5 years to fly to Los Angeles alone for the first time, leaving the small town life and to go to a big city to talk about something that I had no professional background in, because it could have been an opportunity, it could have been exciting. I worked a part-time job that I hated so I could put more time and more effort into casting because it was something I was passionate about, something I enjoyed. And by putting in that time and that dedication, I gave myself the opportunity to have a chance to do something that I could do for a living. And then I took the risk to go and do it. There's no guarantee in life that that is going to happen. By all means, being someone that can do Twitch or YouTube full time is a blessing. I have no idea how I continue to do it, but I do know that the only reason I can is because of you guys. And I can't say that enough, and how thankful I am, because I honestly have no fucking clue what I would be doing in my life. I dropped out of college. I fucking hated school. I hated my job. Like, I honestly have no clue where I would have been if it wasn't for esports. It took me out of a really dark place, and I cannot thank you guys enough. I didn't think I was going to get this emotional, but COVID and the pandemic has been a very interesting time, not only with losing the mainstay of being a caster, which obviously I miss. I miss the guys. I miss the crew. I miss being able to cast and do what I'm passionate about. And luckily, I've been blessed to be able to still pick up gigs. And shout out to obviously V1 for coming and hanging out and allowing me to do stuff for the grid for them and everything else. And all the other, production companies, WSOE, ESPN Esports, and all those other ones. But to be able to continue to do that stuff despite losing the mainstay, and then you have this pandemic come in where I don't get to go do any convention work or things that I used to rely on for survival. And the fact that I was able to turn into content creation and it was still supported with open arms by the community it's very humbling. It's like, you can't please everybody. It's a hard thing you have to learn. But the fact that I've been able to do it and continue to do it, and the fact that we're just getting started as we approach almost the last month of 2020, which I cannot wait for this year to be over because it's been absolutely tragic. It's very heartwarming to know that we are just getting started. We are going to be continuing to progress further and further. I'm going to keep getting zero sleep to provide the best content that I can and continue to hone my craft to make the best inside source for Rocket League news content that I can. And who knows, maybe months from now that I have to pivot to something else, and I hope you guys continue to support me. I hope I continue to provide content that you guys enjoy. But before I continue to get teary-eyed and lose my cool, I'm going to have to sign it off here. So again, 25,000 subs. We are just getting started. It started probably March, April, the end of April. Ironically enough, the 4-year anniversary of me casting, and have now transitioned, and it's been roughly 6-7 months. We're at 25,000 subs and climbing, and the support is still overwhelmingly positive. And I cannot thank this community enough. I really appreciate the support. I promise to be better. I promise to do better. And I'm very much so looking forward to the future.
Thanks, Axel Toss, for the toss yourself.